On this channel, we like to talk about money, and I saw a headline very recently that was all about the saga involving the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson about the renovations for the Prime Minister's apartment. That is one of the benefits of being a Prime Minister. So I wanted to jump in for this video and talk about how much the Prime Minister earns, how much he earns in comparison to other heads of state around the world, and what allowance does he actually get for renovations of the apartment, and did he take a pay cut to become Prime Minister? So let's dive right in. My name is Carrie. Welcome to my $1 Million Hustle channel. Now, how much do you need to earn in the United Kingdom to be considered in the 1%? Does Boris Johnson with his goofy hair classify? Does he fall into that very small, predominantly white elite subsection of the population? Well, let's take a look at a recent study, and this study shows us that if you are earning at least £160,000 in taxable income, then you will be considered part of the 1% in the United Kingdom. Now remember, the United Kingdom, £160,000 for my American friends watching this, that is $221,000. So it's no small chunk of change even in the US. All right, let's take a look at how much Boris Johnson actually is entitled to earn as a Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. So according to the BBC, we can see over here, he's entitled to a salary of about £80,000. All right, so let's check how much that is in dollars. In dollars, that is about $110,000, which is no small feat. It's pretty amazing, but be interested. Let me know in the comments if you earn more than the Prime Minister. If you're watching this, you very well might. That means that he's not actually in the 1% just for his salary as a Prime Minister. But if we go back to that BBC article, he also is entitled to his salary as MP for Uxbridge and South Ruislip, which is actually more. So he gets paid more as the MP of Uxbridge and South Ruislip than he does to be the Prime Minister of the UK, which is kind of crazy to think about. Now, if you're not sure what MP stands for, it stands for Member of Parliament. That's the same as a congressman or woman in the United States. So to think that a congressman or woman can get paid more than the president, kind of mind-blowing. So if we add his salary as Prime Minister to his salary as Member of Parliament for Uxbridge and South Ruislip, we get £157,372, which is less than the £160,000 that you would need to earn above to be considered part of the 1%. So at this salary, he's not part of the 1%. In the UK, at least. If we keep scrolling through this article, we see that he gets some pretty sweet benefits, though, as for being Prime Minister. He gets to use the flat in Downing Street, that's the Prime Minister's residence, rent-free, not bad, pretty prime location. He also gets to use this pretty fantastic country house in Buckinghamshire called Chequers. He does have to pay tax on some of the bills, and it's capped at £8,000 a year, about $10,000. That is quite a lot of money to be paying for heating and lighting and repairs. But the whole reason there's a bit of drama in the UK at the moment is because he gets an annual allowance of £30,000 a year to renovate, to refurbish the apartment in Downing Street. Now that is quite a lot of money, but he has gone over it this year, and that is what the row is about. He's saying he's done it all legitimately and used some of his own money, and there are rumors that it wasn't completely done by the book. So before we carry on with his other sources of income and how much he earns in comparison to other heads of state, if you want to know more about that drama that's ensuing about the renovations of the apartment, I'll pop a link down in the description where you can check that out. There will also be links down there where you can get free money by signing up and starting your investing journey yourself. Now, this Sunday Times article is pretty interesting because it's showing that Boris took a massive pay cut. So let's see how much he was earning before he became Prime Minister. He was quite famously the mayor of London and quite, let's say, an intentionally goofy character because it's a great way to get free press, and he was a master at doing that. So let's see how much he earned from his book deals and public speaking before he became Prime Minister. So the Sunday Times is saying he took a pay cut of more than £670,000 a year, which is pretty harsh. And these are official figures which he had to release because he was a member of parliament. He was making over £800,000 from a combination of his MP salary, which is only about £80,000, from public speaking, writing him a column for a newspaper, and royalties from his books. So that is a huge drop. But it's not necessarily a huge drop because he's likely still getting royalties from his books, which we can see here in the BBC article as well. He reported that between April 2020 and March 2021, he still got £23,000 in royalties from his books. So that pushes him over the £160,000 that he would need to be considered part of the 1%. So whilst Boris Johnson might temporarily have had to take a pay cut to become Prime Minister, likely the amount of money he is going to be able to charge for speaking engagements once he stops being Prime Minister is going to shoot through the roof. He'll be able to write more books about his time in office, as many presidents and many Prime Ministers have done. They'll be able to charge bucket loads for speaking engagements, and we can see how much he used to charge for speaking engagements before he became Prime Minister. If we look here, he got paid £122,000 for a speech, one speech in March 2019. He got another £50,000 for another one speech in January 2019, another £40,000 for a speaking engagement at the Economic Forum in Switzerland. That's crazy money, and you can imagine that these speaking engagement fees are going to shoot through the roof once he ends his time in office as Prime Minister of the UK. He also used to write a column for the Daily Telegraph, and you can see how much he was paid per month by the newspaper, £23,000 a month. And it only took him about 10 hours a month worth of work. Now, this channel is all about side hustles. That is the most lucrative side hustle I have seen so far. It only takes him a couple of hours a month, making £23,000. Incredible. So I gotta start writing. More, guys. That's what we gotta start doing. According to the Sunday Times, Johnson has said that he needs to earn above £300,000 a year to keep his head above water. Now, he probably needs to take on a little bit of financial advice or needs to stop having children and getting divorced, because that is a huge expense. He's paying out tons and tons of money in terms of child maintenance and alimony all the time. And Johnson and his fiancée Carrie Symonds might need to rethink how they redecorate their interiors in the future, because if they can't do it on their £30,000 a year budget while he's Prime Minister, then what are they doing? There's a great quote which may or may not be true, but it says that Carrie, his fiancée, has champagne tastes on a lemonade budget, and that is a zinger if I have ever heard one. So let's just quickly recap. He's only getting about £75,000 a year as a salary to be Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Now let's compare that to Joe Biden, who is probably getting around £290,000 as his salary. Angela Merkel also gets around £267,000. And even the Prime Minister of Luxembourg, which is a tiny, tiny little place in Europe, they pay their Prime Minister £200,000 a year, which is quite considerably more than Boris Johnson gets as his salary. But like I mentioned earlier, if you are the head of state, there are so many other sources of income for you in the future, hopefully legitimate ones where you're not making dodgy deals with lobbying groups and big corporations. But just the speaking gigs alone, after he has ended his time as Prime Minister or after President steps down, that is worth millions and millions, let alone the book deals and the publishing rights and the interviews. Yeah, incredible amounts of money if you have succeeded in politics. Now, no politics for me. I don't want the stress. I will stick to Airbnb and buying and selling businesses. If you are interested in starting your own Airbnb business, you can jump on a call with me. I'll pop a link down in the description. I'll talk you all through it, what you need to do to get started, to start making some sweet passive income from Airbnb accommodation. And if you thought this video was interesting, just hit that share button, share it with a friend so they can see how much Boris Johnson is actually making. And while you're at it, crush the like button and subscribe if you're interested in the $1 Million Hustle, in which I talk all about my journey to get to $1 million, £1 million over the next 3 years. I'm kind of well on my way. I've got some exciting stories to share with you in the next couple videos. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in there. And the algorithm thinks you're going to like this video, so watch that next. I'll see you in there. Let's hustle together.